Hashtag ride smart. Hashtag ride safe. Hashtag think bike. Liane Langlois, the president of the Alberta Motorcycle Safety Society, has agreed to be my guest today.
Reluctantly.
This podcast brought to you by homegirls.ca, a top producing team at Remax Professionals, and thompsonmortgages.com. They take care of the financials. You search for your perfect home. The combination of these two sponsors has helped me facilitate multiple real estate transactions, including my most recent move right here in 2025. Now here's today's show.
Reluctantly.
Liane, good to see you.
How are you, Terry?
Doing very well, thank you. And you look great. The fresh air and wind breeze, the breeze between your knees, isn't that what they call it when you get on a motorcycle, or the breeze between your ears, or
The wind in your face?
wind in your face, all of that stuff?
All of it. Just be in the air.
I've seen some motorcyclists where the wind in your face has done some serious damage, but that's because they ride 60 or 70,000 kilometers a season.
With probably not a full face helmet.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that takes a toll. I mean, I almost swallowed a bee once in Saskatchewan. Went to full face. That hasn't happened since.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other hashtag I guess we could bring up is all the gear all the time.
That's been a long time motorcycle acronym at GAT. All the gear, all the time.
That is something that I adopted. I learned how, well, in 2009, I went to Heritage Harley Davidson and talked to Autumn and Hobb. I had a very specific motorcycle in mind. And when I got there and sat on it, it looked like I had a motorcycle sticking out of my ass. Because, as you know, I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'5", 200 plus. And I was looking at a kind of motorcycle that I guess it was the one that I had envisioned because of movies. The one with, a little bit higher handlebars, not a chopper, but a little
Like a
bit of,
Sportster with higher bars. Yeah.
well, not the Sportster. It was a little bit bigger than the Sportster, and it doesn't matter. I ended up finding something that fit me, and that was a Road Glide, the 830-pound heaviest bike you could buy at the time, and that's what I learned on. And luckily, I had some very good friends that I could rely on in order for me to get my Class 6. Steve Zimmerman was one of them, yourself, another, that I had an opportunity to ride with and gain some experience. I never became a biker. I was a motorcycle enthusiast. I was a rider. But I did enjoy my time on my Harley Davidson and didn't lay it down. So,
Well, and I consider myself not really a biker either. I ride and that's it. I think one of the other things you may have learned from me is how to not get a sunburn on your tramp stamp area. That was awesome.
that was the charity ride was for Emily's Ride for Casa House for mental health, was it not?
Kids' mental health.
Yes. So just to a little background in the story, Liane and I ended up in the same group. What was there, like half a dozen, 8 of us or whatever it was?
Well, you were technically the road captain. You were the media guy there, and I was told to get with you. I think the first funniest thing was when I took off my helmet and my hair looked like this. And you had a comment about not being able to get a tree branch through your hair. And how does that happen? And then, we went on our day.
It was beautiful that day, and we rode, and I was riding my Road Glide, which is a big cruiser of a Harley Davidson motorcycle, and
I took out the Daytona that day.
a sport bike, which leaves you in a position where the handlebars are down and forward, and there's an arch in your back, and your legs are up high, your feet are high.
And probably should have had a better jacket.
If your shirt isn't tucked in right at the back center belt loop, it just leaves a little space about like that. And on a beautiful sunny day like that, you can get quite a nasty sunburn in a place that you never expected.
And then it's like really uncomfortable trying to explain why you can't wear pants for the next 5 days. Embarrassing.
How did you start riding? How long have you been riding, and how did you first start riding?
So my earliest memory is like my mom's a farm kid from Saskatchewan. So my uncle and my grandpa still had farmland when I was little. And on my uncle's farm, he had a little Honda 50. one of those little things with big fat tires that could stand up on its own without a kickstand. And I remember being very little and ripping around on my uncle's farm on that thing, having the best time of my life. Motorcycles aren't really big in my family at all. I'm the only one. So it wasn't until I moved to Edmonton, kind of got myself settled. I'd been around a lot of people riding passenger, boyfriend's road, whatever. And then in 2007, the end of April, I did the course at the Safety Council. And the very next weekend, picked up my brand new 2007 Triumph Speedmaster from EcoCycle and rode it off the lot and never stopped.
Is that right? So it was as recent as that with your first purchase motorcycle? Is it just 2 years before I got mine? And here, I thought that you had been riding and, like, doing all of this stuff for decades.
No, I've been around it for a long time.
Mhm.
When I moved back to Regina after high school, I hooked in with the Regina Motorcycle Association. They do a lot of charity work in and around Edmonton, like poker runs and the toy run at Christmas and stuff like that. And so I'd been around, it just felt like home for me, being bullied a lot as a child and then being around this amazing group of people made me feel like I could just be me and I'm accepted for who I am, good, bad, and different. I just fell into that whole lifestyle and really sunk into the whole motorcycle scene and going to the blues bar and, just that whole atmosphere resonated with me and I wanted to stay in it. And then the thing that really got me to the point of very much need to get on my own is a minor incident as a passenger on someone's bike. I probably shouldn't have gotten on. It was a friend of mine, but we were leaving a party and perhaps he had a little too much to drink and nothing serious happened. He lost his balance at a stop sign and I hopped off and didn't get back on and didn't actually get back on a bike until I was on my own.
Do
So
you still have your in 2007, what did you buy again? What was the name
the
of it?
Speedmaster, a Triumph Speedmaster. So it looks like a kind of like a Dyna, a Harley Dyna. I could probably put some ape hangers on that one. It's likely what you were thinking about when you were going in to not buy a Road Glide. It's a little bigger than a Sportster, smaller than a Road Glide. No, I sold that one after about 100,000 very amazing kilometers with it to our pal Jalen Nye in 2020. And then I went because I bought the Daytona in 2015 for a specific reason. And then I sold the Speedmaster and picked up a Triumph Scrambler. I might have a Triumph problem.
It seems to me, yeah.
A little bit.
If you had to guess, you just rattled through the 100,000 kilometers that you had on your first bike. If you had to guess, or did you keep track? How many kilometers have you ridden on a motorcycle?
Well, the 100,000 on the Speedmaster were all mine because I bought it brand new. I've probably put another 25, 30,000 on the Daytona and possibly another 20,000 or so on the Scrambler. Oh, 150, 170, somewhere in there.
Before I sold mine, I think I had just shy of 70,000. I wasn't one of those guys. I found that, well, aside from just going out and riding and being on my own, which a lot of times I enjoyed more than anything, I found myself doing a lot of charity rides. Obviously, the Revving Up for Kids with the Kids with Cancer
Yes. Yeah.
Society
Yeah.
for many years. I found myself, I think I rode more kilometers in the rain than I did in the sunshine.
That tends to happen. We have to prepare for everything. My whole thing is when I got going, I would clock what I did in a season. And then next year I wanted to beat it. And then the next year I wanted to beat that. And as I've aged and priorities shift and all that fun stuff, I've switched my mentality to not how many kilometers I can get in a year, but like the quality of those kilometers. And still gonna hit rain. I mean, if I'm heading out to BC or down to Montana or something on the bike, and it's the day I have to leave and it's raining, gotta go. It is what it is, but you'll hit sunshine eventually. But I don't purposely go ride in the rain
Yeah.
anymore. Like if I get caught in it, I get caught in it. But
Remember the storm that flooded Calgary, the Saddle Dome and all that? We rode that weekend for the Kids with Cancer Society. We went down to Red Deer, and then we went out to Rocky Mountain House, and they were all of us stuck. The road was washed out, and then we went back up to Jasper on 93. And there's in between Rocky Mountain or Saskatchewan Crossing and Jasper, there's that area of the highway where the water shoots out of the wall. I don't know if
Yes.
the okay.
Yeah.
We when they reopened, they had machinery in there to push off the slide. They reopened it for short periods of time. That water was shooting over us into the ditch and lake on the other side.
That's
That's how much rain
crazy.
and well, it flooded Calgary, and we rode in that all weekend. We ended up coming home early. It was crazy. What's the furthest you've been away from home on your motorcycle?
Well, the longest time that I've gone in a day is 1,000 kilometers from my front door to my best friend's front door in Missoula, Montana. That's my longest trip in a day. But then we went further on that on just day loops out of Montana, but out to BC. I haven't really gone on a very long trip. They're purposeful trips for
Mhm.
different reasons.
I liken it to when you see a woman in a Jeep. When you see a motorcyclist and then you get up close or you're at a stoplight and you realize, "Oh, that's a woman."
Yeah.
Cool. Because stereotypically, or I guess in misogynistically, I guess, you don't expect a woman to be behind the wheel of a certain vehicle, whether it be a motorcycle or a Jeep or something like that. And when that happens, I always think that's power and that's cool and that's sexy and that's adventure and stuff. Do you find yourself preferring to ride alone? Do you prefer to ride in groups? Do you prefer to ride with men, with women? What is your preference?
Jeez, we're just gonna out all of my dirty secrets in this one. I prefer solo riding over anything. It's my happy place. It's where a lot of my brain settles. I come up with the best thoughts when I'm riding. And I like to stop in weird places that other people might not want to stop with me. And I'm really quick at gas stations. People laugh. I tend to like pee really quickly. And I'm like, well, my mom taught me when I was very little in the West Edmonton Mall. You go and you go fast, you're getting left behind. So I'm really fast at gas stations and just want to get going, especially if there's a cool waterfall or something I want to see. Or as I've noticed as I'm getting older too, I do need to stop and stretch more. And maybe other people don't want to do that. So, or I don't like the way they ride. It's so solo riding is mostly it. I will ride with a couple of good friends. The one thing that I do find is the misogyny is still very real out there of the whole like girl on a bike thing. And like I remember coming back from Montana, I'd stopped in Fort McLeod, just coming back across the border for gas and a bottle of water and just for a little break. And some guy in a truck rolls up as I'm sitting on the sidewalk and is like, "Are you riding that big bike all by yourself?" And I'm like, "Yep, looks like it." And "Oh, that's dangerous." I said, "Well, my dad let me, so I guess I'm okay." Like, I don't even know what to say to these people. And they don't know my history, and that's fine and that's fair. But we need to stop doing that because I'm not walking up to you, Terry, going, "Are you allowed to ride that big road king?" Like it's unfair. I can handle my Daytona. I can handle but again, they don't know the history. They don't know what I've accomplished. They don't know what I do. They don't know the years. And
Mhm.
so I try and give some grace, but at the same time have a fun response that makes them go, "Oh, I'm a dumbass for asking that." And stop making assumptions. The
You should
favorite parts I have though when I'm out on my own is there's also the other side of the older man group that'll come over and it's my first bike was a Triumph. And those are my favorite conversations to get into. And I have a lot of great conversations solo riding with people at random stops. And it's nice. Sometimes I'm into it and sometimes I'm like, thanks, and I just get on my way. But you meet a lot of really cool people and you just have to be mindful of their energy and is that a safe conversation or not. But still a woman, I still make plans for someone always knows where I am, and if I don't check in, they know where approximately I am. So Just be smart about it.
I was terrible for the small talk around a motorcycle because I don't know anything about them. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know anything about an engine. I know where the oil thing is to check it. And people would come up. I'd be riding solo. People would come up. Oh, geez, nice bike. Good. What do you got there? Well, it's a road glide.
Fix your motor.
Yeah. How big? I don't know. I don't have the manual with me. I think is it 94, 96, 98, whatever it
I'll
takes.
just make a phone call back to Autumn and Hob and figure out
Yeah.
what they sold me.
I said, "It's got a start thingy." I push that and it goes. So push, start, go. That's the extent of, and they look at me like, why do you even have that Harley Davidson? I said, because I like to do, and I do the speed limit, maybe 10 over, I get myself out of situations when I have to with a
You
little
were a good
speed.
rider. You were a good rider, Terry.
Yeah.
I'm sad when you hung that up, but priorities change.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. Not limited to just mortgages. They also provide insurance. Almost any service associated with a home or building purchase can be done in-house. And for anything beyond that, they have an extensive network of professionals at their fingertips. Consolidations, loans, mortgages, legal services, accounting services, financial planning, insurance. They are your one-stop shop. How do I know this? Well, Mike at ThompsonMortgages.com has helped us out with our mortgages for the last few real estate transactions that we have made. You can be confident that they will work hard to ensure all your mortgage and insurance goals are fulfilled. Check them out for yourself. ThompsonMortgages.com.
Reluctantly.
The Alberta Motorcycle Safety Society. You are the president. How did it start?
So that was, I think, June of 2015. I had approached our mutual friend, Marty Forbes, and I wanted some help to get in front of you, Gord Steinke, Daryl McIntyre, those guys. And can we do something to promote motorcycle safety? Because God bless our government for all the things that they do. That was one thing they didn't do. And I wanted to make sure that there was some messaging out there specifically around May is Motorcycle Awareness Month. And so when I met with when I met with Marty at, of course, a Starbucks, if anybody knows Marty Forbes, that is the staple Marty Forbes meeting place. And I pitched my idea to him. It was the first time I met him. And he looked at me and he said, I'll do you one better. I'll partner with you on this and let's get it going. And then we reached out to you and we reached out to Gord and kind of started talking about safety and how to promote that. And this little tiny idea that I had just blew up into this big pilot program the first year in Edmonton with you. So you were at K97 and Gord was still on Global and Daryl was on CTV and Sean Burke was on CFCW, I think, with Stingray and Shane Michaels. But we had all these media people, Cam Hayden, of course, can't forget blues people. We had all these media people that just showed up for this girl that nobody knows to launch a campaign about motorcycle safety, which meant the world to me. And our messaging has always been really, we got a lot of, you should talk to your own riders. And, they're all a bunch of crazy people out there and they're whipping in and out of traffic. And I'm like, yeah, if you actually read our website, 2/3 of our messaging is directed at the motorcycle community. Wear your gear, be a good ambassador. There's rules to the road, follow them. And then the 1/3 of it to drivers on how to share the road with us. And over the years, we've noticed the trends slowing down with multi-vehicle fatality collisions with drivers being responsible or allegedly responsible. And it's really brought out a lot of the last few years. It's been on motorcycle riders. We're not the best ambassadors for our sport. 80% of our fatalities in the last 5 years have been alleged rider error, whether it's multi-vehicle or single vehicle. And for whatever reason, some are innocent, like deer pop out of anywhere. And yes, there's things we can do, but wildlife is unpredictable. Those ones I can accept. I don't like to see them, but speeding, reckless riding, riding outside of your skills, taking chances that are unnecessary that end up in you losing your life doesn't just affect you. It affects every person you leave behind. And so we're right now really focusing on our own community and just trying to get everybody to get proper training, get licensed properly, ride with people who are responsible and not trying to push you. Go to the track, take it out on the track, confined space where you can go as fast as you want. And yeah, just be better. And it's been 10 years of it. So it's been fun.
It's unfortunate that the thing that first comes to people's mind who drive in caged vehicles, the idiot that weaves in and out of traffic, and like you said, that ends up being the vision that people have of motorcyclists. The education process on your website, on the various appearances and functions that you hold. Like you said, educating riders and educating people who drive in caged vehicles and may never, have never, may never, ever drive a motorcycle. I found riding a motorcycle, and then once I sold my motorcycle, I find that so much stuff about riding a motorcycle is stuck with me.
Mhm.
And the biggest thing I've found is eye contact. And you would not believe how many nods of, okay, I thank you, I got you, when I make that eye contact with the motorcyclist. Even if it's a visor where you can't see his or her eyes, making that eye contact with a motorcyclist, knowing that so that they know, okay, I'm here, I'm not going to make that left turn so that you T-bone me. So that is the biggest thing, and you
Yeah.
have eye contact with people. In order, of course, to have eye contact, you have to not be looking at your phone or your dashboard or the person beside you or have a dog in your lap. But that's just one little thing. Can you expound on that, or is that
Yeah, I
just
mean,
basically it?
that's a huge thing, obviously, that I see you, I got you, you're fine, you can go. I approach every intersection very cautiously when I'm on a motorcycle because of that, because you never know. And I'll look at the rider, but also look at the wheels of the vehicle and see where they're pointing or are they moving. The weaving in and out of traffic can be for two reasons too. One can be, yes, they're a minor, like a small fraction of the entire motorcycle community who are reckless. I'll never say there isn't people who do lane splitting illegally and cause problems for the rest of the community. But there's also, if I'm like speeding up a little bit, I'm not being reckless. I'm trying to put myself in a safer space. And so don't judge every move by a motorcycle as negative because it's not always. I need to always have an out in case you change lanes without looking, which happened in Calgary recently, and a 35-year-old man lost his life. Some guy changed lanes on Stony Trail or whatever they call it down there into a motorcyclist, launched him, he died. Those things happen. It would be great if people stopped fully depending on their mirrors and, I don't know, like shoulder check before you change lanes because your mirrors aren't going to catch everything. At the same time, riders need to also be aware of the same rules of the road. I don't care how many wheels you have on your transportation. We're out there together. And if we're all actually looking out for each other and courtesy makes a comeback, let people in front of you. You don't always have to be first. Like are we all in that much of a hurry of life these days? And life has changed to that point. So it's just really about stop judging everybody for the actions of a small few. Sometimes we're just trying to get into a safe space.
Safety is paramount, obviously, and the polarizing topic of aftermarket pipes, loud pipes save lives. And I know that as the president of the Alberta Motorcycle Safety Society, you may have a personal opinion, but it may also differ from your opinion as the president of the Alberta Motorcycle Safety Society. It is still a polarizing topic, isn't it?
It is. My opinion doesn't differ. My opinion on it, and we as the Alberta Motorcycle Safety Society would rather you depend on your skills and abilities than a piece of machine to save your life. And people will sit there and say, well, I've revved my pipes and this happened or that happened. And I'm like, nobody knows where you are in downtown Edmonton or downtown Calgary. The reverberation off of the buildings doesn't tell anybody where you are. It just says you're somewhere, which I guess is an awareness. But today's vehicles are also made incredibly soundproof and boom and stereos inside of there. They don't hear you. The key evidence of that is how many people actually pull over when an ambulance or a fire truck are coming through with their sirens and lights on. So I will never buy loud pipe saves lives. That sound emits to the rear, your traffic's in front of you. I don't know what you want to do. None of my motorcycles have ever been loud. And have I had close calls? Sure. But I've always had the ability to have an out to make sure I'm not involved in anything that's going to hurt me. And do I think loud pipes would have saved me in any of those close calls? No, my skills did. And I would rather people depend on that. There's a time and place, and inside a city is not that. You're going to annoy everybody, which lands us in positions of having motorcycle only noise bylaws and nothing we can do about it because it happened, and this was pre-AMSS. It happened. The community did not rally. I tried. I was at City Hall. I sat in Mayor Mandel's office, and we had a face-to-face conversation about it. I tried to get it so it was at least equally applied, and I think they're getting there now because there's a lot of loud trucks and loud cars out there, but they're not the problem. We're easily identifiable. Has to be us, and that's not fair. Put me beside a truck with straight pipes on my Speedmaster, I'm getting pulled over to get tested because they think it's me, and it's not. So it's unfair judgments, but I just don't buy into loud pipe saves lives. And I did get an email from Cam Hayden a few years ago from somebody who heard one of our PSAs on his station. And he emailed it to me, and it was a concern. Loud pipes may not also have a place in the country depending on where you are. And there were people whose horses were getting very spooked by people revving and cracking pipes and trying to race with horses. They've scared them. That's why they're running. Just really, it comes back to that mutual respect. If you want respect to be able to ride your bike freely, you have to like earn it at the same time and work with the people. This is a two-way street. It's not, I ride a bike, so I get to do whatever I want. It's not a right, it's a privilege. So let's just be better with each other. And I'll get off my soapbox.
You're
Jesus.
the president to the Alberta Motorcycle Safety Society. Whether people call it a soapbox or not, it's you stand for something, and the something is safe ridership and no fatalities. If somebody's going to criticize you for a stance that you have, then I mean you're kind of in a position to back it up.
Yeah, and I always will. I mean, if somebody wants to have, we've had a lot of debates lately about lane splitting and lane filtering. And should that be legal in Canada? And in Alberta specifically, because we all do our own traffic safety acts in each of the provinces. And I have a very strong opinion on, I'd like to see lane filtering. And so that's at slow speeds, at red lights. Let me filter up to the front. Like I take less space. I take off faster. It's better for congestion, like easing congestion. It's better on everybody's gas if like I can get out of the way and we're all kind of moving at our own speeds. At the same time, Alberta has a very unique, well, I don't think it's unique. I think it's pretty much everywhere, that entitlement of, again, not letting anybody in. Like nobody can zipper merge because nobody will let anybody in anywhere. And so you get everything backed up. And if you could just zipper merge, it flows really nicely. So I don't think anybody's going to let us filter to the front, whether it's legal or not. They'll like move over so you can't get through or open your car door or whatever. And it's like, if we could all just work together, that'd be great. So education would be a lot of education needed to allow that to happen. Lane splitting at speed on like the Henday or Stony Trail. I don't know if we ever should do that. Our lanes are not built like in California. We don't ride all year round. So in like Europe, like England or whatever, or California, where you can come out of the womb and get on a motorcycle, it's like ingrained in their every day. And there's not a 4 to 5 month break because winter happened. And then you have to re-educate people. In the same way, nobody remembers how to drive on the first snowfall. And so that education piece has to be huge, and that's going to cost a lot of money and a lot of frustration. And so I don't know if and when we would ever be able to do that, but it makes sense, not just for congestion, but for safety reasons. You know, if I can squeeze up in there and somebody's not paying attention and they fly into the back of a vehicle, that person in that vehicle, they're going to get whiplash and probably injured. I'm getting killed. And so there are pros to it, but the biggest con is people's mentality and ability to work together.
I've never been late having a motorcycle pass me. A motorcycle. I'm not going to let that motorcyclist pass me because I might be 20 minutes later. No, you might be 4 seconds. The difference is going to be 4 seconds. Honest to God.
If that. My 0 to 60 is much faster than yours in a
Mhm.
vehicle. So,
That's for sure.
yeah.
The podcast. How has it? Did you started the podcast in 2020 during at the beginning of COVID?
Yeah, because we're in season 5 and it's 2025. It's been fun. I mean, I credit my conversations, my ability to do I'm an HR professional. Like all of this is voluntary. I don't get paid for any of this. It's out of none of our board does. It's out of the goodness of our hearts of wanting to make a difference. So to make me host a podcast, it's like I'm not a professional in any sense in that side. I guess I interview people for jobs, like to give them jobs and stuff, but it's different. I'm just really passionate about what we're doing. And then having people like in media that have provided me constructive feedback has grown me to be a better host of Think Bike. And so now I'm having a lot more fun with it. We started it with a lot of tips from our corporate members of AMSS, like businesses that are like-minded and want to support what we're doing. And they all brought something different to the table, whether it was insurance or what do you do if you've been hit and injured? And so we've had lawyers on. How do you get a Class 6 license? All different tips about riding, from gear to mechanics to how to pack a bike for a trip to whatever. And then in season 3, we started morphing into stories from Albertans and in some cases, people from all over the world. So now we're doing more of that, which always encompasses an act of safety of how do you get a bike into Colombia and ride, because people want to travel and do those things. So how do you ship a bike? What do you need to cross the border into Mexico? Or collisions, surviving collisions, and how that's affected those people. And did they get back on a bike? Did they not get back on a bike? We've had someone on who lost their fiance. She was on her separate bike from him and out in BC, and she botched a corner and went head on with a truck. And he came on and talked about what that experience was. So those real hard-hitting stories that maybe get people to go, I didn't think of it that way. Or, we've had people come on who are in collisions who are like, it was totally my fault. This is what I did wrong. This is what I could have done better. And that, I feel, is better than people just trying to tell you how to ride a motorcycle. This is what I did. This is what happened. This is how it's affected me. But here's where I am now is more compelling. So yeah, it's been good. I mean, but yeah, we've had everybody from you've been on to chiefs of police in 2 different cities to, you know, just everyday people, friends that I race with at the Salt, people from every faction of track, road racing, drag racing, just getting the information out there of how can you do that too, all with the conscious effort of safety at the forefront.
Reluctantly.
This podcast is reluctantly sponsored by the real estate team of homegirls.ca, a top producing team at Remax Professionals. If you are buying or selling in the Edmonton region, Shauna and Bonnie can handle everything with strong industry connections to mortgage brokers, home inspectors, lawyers, and contractors to support every step of the process. The market is very active right now. We recently listed our home again, and it went from MLS to closing conditions in 8 days. Now, of course, results may vary from property to property, but Shauna and Bonnie have been our trusted real estate advisors through buying and selling no less than 7 properties. I've recommended them to many friends who want real, relatable people with a personalized, hands-on approach. New home, investment, recreational, even commercial properties. Homegirls.ca is the website. Email info is right there. And the phone number is 780-517-1010. home.
Reluctantly.
You mentioned the Salt Flats. It is one of my favorite pictures ever, and I'll put it up for people who are watching on
The one
YouTube.
I gave you
The one you
from
gave
my
me.
very first year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that this goes back to our conversation earlier wher you said that you bought your first bike at the age or
Or
in 2007
or
because
let's age me.
yeah, yeah. So at the or in the year 2007, but the picture of you on the Salt Flats and like it's a phenomenal picture and you blew it up bigger for me and I had it hanging in my garage for the longest time and we've moved now so it's in a box. I'm going to put it up again, but it's being shown on YouTube right now if people are watching. How did that picture? Where were you zooming past the photographer? Was the photographer on another motorcycle? What? How did that picture happen? Because that is the most badass picture I've ever seen on a motorcycle.
So that was my first year that I went down there in 2014. Just the little history on that was I run a Triumph motorcycle rally in BC every year as well, because why not be the busiest person in the motorcycle world possible? I love it. It's one of my biggest passions. But I met some friends who have become family to me that live in Montana. They go to the Salt Flats. They had been going for a few years already. And I had said in 2013, they had just got back. I went down to visit. Said, I want to come next year, just check it out. And Neil looked at me and said, well, if you're going to come, then you're going to race Gina's Bonneville. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? I was in a year of, I was 39 and I was in a year of celebrating the last year of a decade. And so I was saying yes a lot more to adventures and opportunities, which has changed my whole perspective on life. I think people need to start doing that more. Just say yes, even if it's scary. And so I came home and I got all the gear that I needed to get. It was how I got in a full face helmet. That's the other one. I got rid of the myth of claustrophobia and not being able to be in a full face. I just really wanted to do this opportunity. So I got all my gear. I got my full face. I got used to everything. Went down and we had a wind delay day that day. And we had a friend of ours who's also an American with us who is a professional photographer and has done shoots at the Isle of Man and things like that. So he's not afraid to be around motorcycles that are moving at a high rate of speed. I'm going to burst the bubble on that picture because I look like I'm going super, super fast because I am tucked right in. But I was told to do so, and I was maybe going 5 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour
Oh, really?
aiming for, sorry to burst the bubble, aiming for a cardboard box that he was on that was maybe this big, like just not like shoulder width wide. He was on one side and I was to pass him on the other side. And so I might have been going a little bit faster than 10. I can't remember how fast I was going, but I wasn't at speed. He did catch me going through the flags on the one and only run I got to do in 2014. There were so many delays. It was the very last day because Gina, of course, got to ride her bike first. And with the delays and, whatever. And then they're like, well, we can't leave without Liane going. So we intended to leave back for home Thursday morning. We went to the Salt instead, got me first in line. I ran it. I ran just shy of 123 miles per hour on a Triumph Bonneville. And I remember coming out the other side, and then I get off the course, and the whole return road back, I am bawling in my helmet. It was euphoric. It was the most insane thing that I think I've ever done. I'd watched The World's Fastest Indian with Anthony Hopkins, and then I just did that. Like I just did it. And I've been back every year since. Like I can't not go. When we get canceled, my depression just takes over. Like that place is magical. People say when I talk about the Salt, I light up in a different way than anything else that I talk about, but you don't know unless you go there. It's I have no headaches and I always usually have headaches. There's just something about it that's magical. The sunrises are amazing. The people I've met from all over the world, There's camaraderie in every race group that I've seen, whether they're road racers with the Edmonton Motorcycle Road Racing Association or the CMDRA. And those guys will always help each other out because they want to beat their best. They don't want to beat somebody who has a mechanical problem. So they're always making sure everybody is at their best. So whoever wins, it's fair and it's right. The Salt takes it to an absolute next level. The closest motorcycle shop is an hour and a half away in Salt Lake City. If you don't have it there, you're screwed. You lose an entire day to try and go get what you need. And so there are people that come down and bring extras of everything. And then me and my natural habitat of being HR and always caring for everybody else around me first. And people who come to the Triumph Rally in BC know that. It's like I'm mom and I have all the answers. I've kind of like I go down there and it's like Liane will know who to talk to. And because it's funny, I'm not very good in big public settings as much as people don't believe that. I'm very introverted where I don't have a purpose. And with AMSS and with the Triumph Rally, I have a purpose. So I have to take care of people like I have at work. But if I'm just somewhere, I'm very closed down and don't talk to people. And there, I just managed to throw caution to the wind and just live. Like, it's crazy. And it's been, well, this year is my 11th year going down. So when I turned 49, my friend was like, I'd been doing play by play. Well, I guess I took the Daytona down in 2016. We got canceled in 15 and I did 155.2 miles per hour, which is what, roughly 250K or something like that on the sketchiest surface alive. Like, I don't recommend it for the faint people because my back tire was squirrely and it freaked me out. And so I probably was going faster, but I don't know. And I don't care. I just wanted to stay upright. Yeah, it was crazy. But I have a 150-mile-an-hour coin to prove that, I was there and I did that. And then I was like, I'm not taking the Daytona down again. It will never get the record that I need. I don't have the money to put into that bike that would be required. And so I did radio play-by-play. Like they just, because I do safety communications. So they could trust me when something went wrong on the course. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to give updates where I can, but I'm going to distract with pulling certain people in and doing mini interviews down there and keep people entertained on our little like FM stream that we had down there. And I did that for a few years. And then my friend in North Dakota called me and said, do you want to run for records? You need a number one plate in your life. And I'm like, sure, when am I running? And he has a Triumph Rocket 3, which is probably the biggest bike you can buy with a car engine in it, that he had run and had 3 or 4 records on it already. But he wanted to build a custom sidecar with weights, not a person. And he goes, why don't you go run that? And I'm like, sure, why not? So again, I'm 49 and it's like, throw caution in the wind, say yes to everything, and came home with 2 national AMA records from the Salt Flats in 2024. And being the only female with AMA national records in Canada on a motorcycle is probably a really cool thing. And I don't talk about it a lot.
Probably a really cool thing. It is a really cool thing. It's so exciting and just I can't imagine the adrenaline and all of this stuff, and when you get done that, you come back to the people in your camp and the people all around you to the celebratory.
Well, so the funny thing is with this setup, which was the same when I run the Daytona, I was racing side by side with the guy who I'm now racing his bike. So when I had the Daytona, he had the Rocket 3 on its own. And we were going out together. And he was at the other side when I came in on the Daytona and filmed me because he knew what I wanted. I just wanted that 150 coin. And I have a video that he took of me. He had his phone rolling when I rolled in and he knew what I did. And the language that came out of my mouth was pretty awesome. I'm sure my mom was really happy to see that when I posted that video because I'm like, fuck yeah, like I was so excited. And then I got off the bike and everything just hit me and it was just pure raw emotion. And I did a video myself, a selfie video of that raw emotion, which then at that time, Shaw Cable still existed and Chris Duncan wanted to do a story on it. And I accidentally provided him that video too. So everybody got to see me be super emotional, which it's real, it's raw. And so when we were running last year, we were doing the same thing. That bike, the way it's set up, not good for me to ride it out, ride it down, and ride it back. So we haul it to the start and then we get it all going. And then I run it and they meet me on the other side. And the FM station wasn't working the best. And so sometimes the people on the radio would hear it, what the time was going past. The most fun is like on the radio, I guess they're like, oh, there comes Liane. I had the loudest bike out there. And so the guys in the tower knew exactly who was on the course before they could even really see. And we had friends, and you make friends over 10 years. And so we had friends working, volunteering at all the different stops. And one from the other side, the other course had come running over as my guys were driving down to come get me with his whiteboard holding up my time. And so I'd get to the other side and they'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. And then the guys would get out of the truck to come and load me up to take me back in. I was amazed. Like I'd never ridden that bike before. My very first pass, Jeremy had said to me, I don't care what you do. If you don't break a ton, I don't care. A ton for people who don't understand is 100.
Mhm.
If you don't break a ton, I don't care. If you go 10 the whole way, I don't care. Just go out and do whatever you feel you can do. And that's great. And I hit, I think 92 or something on the very first run. And he's like, even he goes, oh shit, I didn't think that you're going to actually like get out there. And that was the very first time I ever rode that bike. And because the record was open, we just came back and ran backwards to set the record and just get it set. And the second time I ran so the record is your 2 runs averaged out. And I can't remember what I ran on the second one, but so the record ended up averaging out at 101. So I had like probably a good 15, 20 mile per hour increase on that. Then we switched classes and I set that record at 127. And I said, I can't have a record that's 127. It went at 101. That doesn't make sense. So we switched back to the original class and set that record at 137. And
Wow.
so every ride I went out, it was faster and faster and faster and faster. And I was getting more comfortable on the bike and how it felt. And because it's so heavy, where the course was getting chewed up, it wasn't affecting me as much as it would on, let's say, a Hayabusa or something like that.
Right.
And so this year we're going back and I will be, when I get home, if all goes well and nothing bad happens, I will be the only Canadian female with a international FIM record from the Bonneville Salt Flats on a motorcycle. And
Incredible.
so I'm hoping that we go faster and I can bring my national records up a bit as well. So
It's so exciting. And will that be for your 50th birthday, or is that still gonna be your 49?
50 is as of July 2nd, my friend.
Okay.
So I will be 50 when I set the FIM record.
Well, I wish you luck. I wish you a safe ride and, more records. I congratulate you on 5 years of the Think Bike
Thank
podcast
you.
and 10 years of the Alberta Motorcycle Safety
Who
Society.
knew?
I know.
If I can just really quickly, I know I said that the government doesn't really do anything about motorcycle safety in our province. I do want to say they do support us financially. We do get grants from them. So they are supporting what we're doing. It's just better coming from a grassroots movement than government or enforcement. And we all agree that government telling us what to do doesn't really work. 10 years in, and a lot of it is because of media ambassadors like yourself, corporate members that we have, and government grants that we've gotten. So really appreciative of that. want to make sure that's known out there.
Ride smart, ride safe, think bike. Those are the hashtags. All the gear, all the time. The Alberta Motorcycle Safety Society is www.ab-amss.org. Liane Langlois, always a pleasure to chat.
Thank you for having me.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by homegirls.ca, a top producing team at Remax Professionals, and thompsonmortgages.com. They take care of the financials. You search for your perfect home. If you're searching for a home in the Edmonton area, please use both of these fine sponsors.
Reluctantly.